Okay, so in the process of getting ready to put all this back together, this tray here, this bolt goes through this hole and goes down into the fender, and between this tray and the fender was this rubber seal, which, as you can tell, looks pretty bad and is pretty much gone. I mean, it's still pliable, but it's, you know, could use a new one. So I don't have anything that big, but what I do have are these rubber O-ring washers that I'm going to try to make fit. I might have to drill them out just a hair to, you know, get the bolt down in there. But that's what I'm going to do, and they go down into this little hole in the fender here, right there. So they're big enough to span it, and these are real hard rubber, so they should seal in there well and close that up. But the problem is it's not going to cover the whole thing. So eventually I'm going to have to get better ones, but for now that's just what I'm dealing with. I'm going to, just to get that going, and I'll see if I can't find some bigger ones, you know, wider ones that'll cover the whole entire hole there. That way no water's coming up from the tire. But for right now, it's just to get it going. That's what I'm doing. So a whole nother subject to touch on, grounding wires. This wire I spoke to you about in the last video, it went onto here, like that, and then it went somewhere, and I could never find out where it actually went to on this end, so I'm just going to pick a spot to ground it on, and then there's a nut up there that's close that I showed in the last video. Anyway, what this is about right now is that this nut and washer are going to be sitting down in here like this to hold this in place, right? Well, they're all rusty, and it brings me back to saying, if something's rusty, clean it up before you put it back together, which I didn't do. So now I'm gonna have to clean this up and make sure it's, you know, got good contact with this ground for this ignition amplifier. So yeah, I just wanted you to see that that's one of the main reasons why if you see something rusty, just clean it up before you put it back on. You know, sometimes I get a little anxious and just do things without, you know, doing them thoroughly. So I'm trying my best to stop doing that. But I knew I was going to replace all these nuts and bolts and washers anyway, so I wasn't too worried about it until I reached this point where I'd like, oh, that's yeah, I need a good contact there. So yeah, I need a good contact here, so I want to make sure that I sand this off. And what I've got here is a couple of sanding blocks. There's an 80 grit and a 120 grit, so I'll just take them and, you know, just lightly rub them on this until the rust is all gone, just kind of like that, you know, get rid of the rust. You can see it's already going. So I just wanted you to see that one of the reasons that I'm talking to you right now is to emphasize that you need to get rid of the rust. So I know you don't care about me getting rust off of a washer, but that's, yeah, okay, there. See, that will make good contact now. But yeah, that's why you clean the rust off of everything if you can. I'm going to do the other side. I'm also going to do the back of the nut, because you can see it's rusty. Probably don't need to do that since it's going to be underneath the washer, but you know, I'm here. I'm going to do it. So there you go. Well, I got to tell you, folks, I am really tempted to try to restart it again tonight. I've got everything back together. Carbs are on, airbox is on. I put the old coils back in just to make sure that the gaskets that hold them, which you can't see them, but they're down in there. Make sure those gaskets were going to hold the new coils good. And when I slipped those in, I realized, wow. All I need is to put that fuse on here, put the battery in, put the gas tank on, and hook it up, and it should fire. Given, you know, assuming that these two coils are good, it should fire. I'm really tempted to give it a whirl. I know I didn't want to earlier because of this coil, how bad it is down here. And you can still see it's leaking a little bit. Whatever, there's something in there. But it could be moisture from when I washed the motorcycle, and it's just now coming out now that I've opened it up. But that was the only thing stopping me right there, was this issue. And I think I'm not going to let that stop me. I think I'm going to go ahead and try them. You know, it's not going to, if anything, it just makes my legs more sore. But if it works, it works. So, and it should, minus the coils. I mean, that's the only other issue at this point, the coils. So, everything else is back together. The carbs are back. They're all good. The tickler is working. Both sides. You can see the other side move too. Nice and smooth. Everything else is working. So, yeah, I think that's where I'm at. I'm going to put the plug wires back on, obviously, but I think when my battery gets here tonight, I'll just try it, just for the heck of it. Knowing that these coils are probably bad, I'm going to try it anyway. And, I mean, even if, you know, it runs, even if it starts and kicks over, I'm still going to replace these coils. At a minimum, I know that one's bad. This one probably is, but I'm not positive. So, you know, it is what it is. I'll get my new ones are on the way. I'm not going to stop that order. Again, like I said, I think this coil right here is going to be the only issue. If anything, I think it's that coil that's going to stop this bike from running at this point. Everything else seems to be just fine. You know, I figured out how to turn the key into the right position, even if that's, you know, well, I don't have a battery in it, so the lights aren't on, but I think that's the position for starting it. Over here is accessories, where I had it before when I was trying to start it. So it only makes sense that this is the start, you know. So I don't know, we'll figure that out. It's only a couple of positions it can go in. But oh, look at that, I put that on. Yeah, I cheesed out and got me a little Triumph keychain for it. So I'll flip that around so you can see it. But yeah, other than that, I think we're good. I'm ready. I'm feeling confident this time, for sure, that it's going to start up. At least make more of an attempt to start up. Once I get the battery and this positive lead put back on with the fuse. So yeah, which I remember I said I was going to put the fuse right down here. So I haven't done it yet, but that's where it's going to go. That'd be a perfect place for it. I mean, there's a hole down here I could put it in too, but I think this one is better. That way it's on this. It's up higher, you know, and then I can make it sideways. That way, if water gets down in it, I mean, that's under the seat, so water shouldn't. But if water gets in it, you know, it's not going to sit in it. It'll run off to the side. So that's where I'm gonna put that fuse. Other than that, gosh, I just don't know. I think we're ready. I think it's ready. Cannot think of a single other thing that might be causing an issue. So when my battery gets here, I'll go ahead and put it in. I'll put that lead and fuse back on the positive. Put the gas tank on, hook it up, let the well, that is something I can do. I'm going to do that now. I'll go ahead and put the gas tank on. It's sitting over here. Here's the gas tank for it. Oops. Sorry. But here's the gas tank for it. Those petcocks are leaking a little bit. And Gary told me they were. So I may need to replace those completely too, which is, no, not a big deal. They're not leaking terribly. They're just, you know, even that you see down there, it's dried now. So, but yeah, there's the tank. I'm going to go ahead and put it on and see if the carbs at least are holding gas, right? Because I didn't check that before. And I should have. The bowls and the floats should be good. But I don't know that for sure. So I'm going to throw the gas tank on it right now. open up the petcocks and let some gas into those carbs and see what happens. So I'll get back to you. Alright, well, I was trying to get the gas tank on, and trust me, that's not an easy gas tank to get on. I'll show you that in a second. But while I was trying to get that on, my Amazon delivery showed up. So here's the battery for it. Yeah, I've never heard of pirate batteries either, but, you know, $48, it met all the requirements, so there it is. Sealed rechargeable battery is all it says. But also here I wanted you to see was the new fuse holder that I'll be installing. And I didn't even think about this when I did it, but I don't know what size fuse to put in it. So yeah, I'll have to figure that out. I'm guessing probably a 15 amp, something like that. Should be good enough. If anybody knows, let me know. But yeah, you can see how it's much better than the way the old one was, which no, I still have it. Here it is. This was the old one, right? So it was kind of hodgepodge together, and it had the old glass style. So, which, again, there's nothing wrong with the glass style ones. They work just fine. They're just getting harder and harder to find, and with this, they're everywhere. I mean, you can walk into just about any convenience store or gas station and pick one up, you know. So, that's why I wanted to just go ahead and swap to this type of fuse. And with this little tab here on it, oh, and I got some 12 gauge wire also in case I needed it, which I probably don't now that I'm looking at it. I think we're just fine. I probably didn't even need this 12 gauge, but one of those things you throw in the drawer and you'll use later for another project. But let me bring you back over here to the bike. And oh yeah, well, let me show you that real quick while I'm doing it. So this gas tank, you got a bolt right here that it sits on, right? It slides in and out like that. And then that bolt has to go up inside this hole from underneath, but you can't see it. You just have to kind of guess where it is. And it's a real pain in the butt to actually get on, because sometimes you think you have it on, but then the bolt will sometimes do this, right? So then you got to take it back off, slip this back down. So if anybody knows a better way to do that, hey, let me know. But yeah, so far I've just been having to toy with it until I get it on there. So yeah, let me do that real quick, and then I'll show you the fuse. Well, let me show you guys this. I went ahead and put the tank on. Man, that took me about 10 minutes to get that tank on there. Where's my flashlight at? Here it is. So there's a bolt down in this hole here. You can see it down in there, and you gotta line it up perfectly, because if you don't, it just pushes everything up, and then it pushes everything up, and then you have to start all over again. So it took me like 10 minutes to get this thing back on. I'm assuming I'll get better at it, but so I went ahead and put the fuel lines back on and hooked them up. And same thing over here. It's got dual petcocks, so those are going now down into the carbs, the float bolts on the carbs, and everything else is buttoned up. But here's one of the issues I'm having right this minute, and I didn't notice this before, but when I open up the gas, we should start seeing gas drain out. Yeah, there you go. So that bolt right there probably has a gasket around it. That bolt head probably has a gasket around it that needs to be replaced. I'm hoping it's coming from the bolt and not up higher, because this is a fuel filter right there. You can kind of see the lining of it, the white line there. That's a fuel filter in between. It sits down inside of this bowl here, this little tiny bowl, right? This one. So that's leaking gas. So I'm not going to attempt to do anything until I get that resolved. So I'm going to pop this off right now and see what I need to do. I may need to make a new gasket, looks like. which is fine. I've got plenty of gasket material and they're easy to make. So that's my next step. And then like I said, I'm going to try to start it with the old coils. I haven't put the fuse link in yet, but I will. It's over there with the battery and all that. But I just wanted to make sure I wasn't leaking fluid, any fuel, before I even attempted all that. So it's a good thing I did. Alright, I will pull that off and make a new gasket and get back to you.